Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we have with us Caterina Rando. She is on a mission to teach, mentor, and support women to be themselves, do their thing, and serve their people, and massively monetize their mastery. She is a speaker, author, and podcast host of Expand Your Empire. Welcome to the show, Caterina. It's really nice to have you here.
Jill, I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us all about you. How did you get into this? What's your story?
Wow. Well, I was like many women. I was the gal at school, in high school and college, that felt like I didn't really fit in. And I would therefore, take on the leadership role. I was class president in 8th grade. I was student body officer in high school. I had the lead in the school play, and I guess you would think that made me popular, but maybe because I had a lot of insecurities, and so I did find that I liked speaking, and I was halfway decent at it. So that meant that it kind of made me more popular. And then when I had a business, my first business was I owned a cafe and catering company. Mm-hmm. And I loved the business part of it. I loved the people part of it. I loved the business. I loved the people, but I didn't love the food service. I didn't love spending time in a walk-in, or the chopping, or the dicing, and the blanching. And I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, because I knew I didn't want to make sandwiches for a living. And then this lady walked in my cafe one day, and she thanked me for some business advice that I had given her. And I literally felt her gratitude in my heart. I felt a pang of bliss in my heart. And I said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. Because I had a business coach, and she thought I would make a good coach. But at the time I was so shy, I didn't really think I could. But those two incidents together made me decide to do it. And when I started to have a business, it's very different. When you have a cafe, you just turn on the lights, you open the door, people come in. But with a coaching business, you can't do that. And then I did what we all do, and I started to network. But, there would be 5 other coaches in the room that had more business experience and acumen and even confidence than me. And then I noticed that the speaker always got a lot of attention. And so that's when I started to speak. And really, for the last many, many years, that's where 95% of my clients have come from, is speaking.
Yeah. Speaking is one of those things that you think you know how to do it until you're called on.
Well,
and then you're like,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the more you do it, the better you get, but I teach speaker retreats. I'm not trying to make anybody a motivational speaker. When people come to hear an entrepreneur talk, they want to hear, like, what's in it for me? I have a client who helps women get over their broken heart. Nobody's going to go to their workshop if they don't need her services, right? Or nobody's going to go to your slim down workshop if they don't need to slim down, So it's really important to recognize that they're not evaluating your public speaking. They're evaluating whether or not you can help them. And sometimes people realize that you can, and that's how you get Insta clients with speaking.
Yeah. And it also helps you to be able to isolate or kind of like weed out those who really aren't your people. And
Right.
you need to do that.
Right.
I think when people first get started in coaching, it's like, I just want to help everybody. And they end up helping nobody
Yeah,
because
right.
they
Yeah,
don't differentiate themselves enough to stand out. And it's okay if your clientele is, 50 people.
yeah,
That's all the people that you need.
exactly.
Then
Yes.
you're really specialized. You need to charge a much higher price because you only help 50 people.
Well,
But
the thing
those
is that,
50 people you can help really, really well.
yes. And when we start, I think a lot of coaches, first of all, it's okay to take a little time and figure out, what is the right match for you. But people sometimes in the early years, they're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and that it's okay to test a little bit and see who you're a match for. I remember I gave a talk once to a group of professional organizers, and they super resonated with me. And I had several clients after that were professional organizers. But I was shocked, Jill, because I'm a pile person. I got piles all over. So, I didn't think that the organizers would resonate with me, but they really did. So sometimes we learn in the marketplace things that we didn't know about ourselves, which is why I think it's good to try different markets, different kinds of things if you're not sure yet. And then you see who's the right match for you. The image consultants, I love the image consultants, but I would have never thought that they would resonate with me either. So everybody's got some special skills they didn't even know until they coach some different people and see what feels good.
Yeah, and that really is a secret. It's just getting out there and doing something and seeing who is attracted to you and seeing how you feel when you're doing it. I think that that's really important. eh, How you feel about what you're doing.
Absolutely. And, I talk a lot these days about how to bliss in your business. And I talk about how to bliss in your business because I want everybody to be blissing in their business. Sometimes we're so in the business that we forget, hey, this is supposed to be enjoyable. I'm supposed to be loving this. Now, see, I never really had a job working, and I worked in a clothing company for about 5 minutes when I went to fashion school when I was 19. And I did not like the corporate situation. And then, of course, I worked for Baskin Robbins, but they fired me because I gave way too much ice cream. So that's about the extent of my corporate experience as an employee. So I think maybe because I never started that career where, you're just supposed to get a paycheck, that I really have attention on blissing in my business. And I want everyone to bliss in their business because when you're blissing, you know what? That is very alluring to your potential clients. But if you're depresso or frustrated or stressed out, that doesn't attract clients. And so bliss is actually part of your sales plan too, if you're doing it right.
I absolutely agree. And so many people miss that. They start getting stressed and then they start focusing on the stress. And the more you focus on something, the more of
Right.
that you're going to get.
Exactly.
It's just like it's kind of a double-edged sword. And it's not to say that there are times when or there aren't times when things aren't kind of scary looking out there.
Sure.
But the magic is that you can find the glimmers of hope and just focus on those little specks of light out there to make sure that you can get more of that, not more of the darkness.
Right. Right. Well, you bring up a good point because, Jill, one of the things about being a coach is that often we work from home. We often work in isolation. And so one of the things that keeps things light, in my opinion, is making sure you have, I call it opportunities for uplift. That's where you're, of course, getting out and about in your community, but networking and even virtual networking. I did an afternoon tea yesterday with some women that had donated. We call them big heart donors. They had donated money for our charity partner for our last event. And I sent them all fascinators in the mail with tea, and we had tea and we mastermind for 90 minutes and we wore fascinators, and it was so much fun, and it so uplifted me yesterday, and I know it uplifted them too. And it's important that we infuse these opportunities and we consciously say, okay, I have a busy week. When am I going to do something fun? It could be virtual now too, or live and in person, but it's very important that we have connections that uplift us, because that gives us more vitality for our business.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. I find that personally, doing these podcast interviews is what really just like juices me up in a
That's
day.
awesome. That's
I,
awesome.
I often do more than one a day, and it's just like I get a window into having a conversation with somebody who's doing something really interesting, and everyone is doing something so interesting.
Yeah. Well, and that's what happens when you really connect with people. And, I guess that's part of the value of Zoom too, is that when we get on Zoom with somebody, what do? We have a conversation. We have to have a chat. We have to get to know each other. And that's really good for relationship building. And the Zoom lifestyle now has really expanded a lot of our possibilities for business too. I know for me, I used to, as a coach and a speaker and a trainer, I used to say, okay, well, I want to break bread with my clients. I want to, I can go 3 area codes north and I go 3 area codes south. I live on the West Coast, so there's maybe 3 area codes east, but there's none west. And so I would say, hey, that's my region for getting clients. But then, of course, the pandemic came, and then we started to do Zoom workshops and do our events virtually. And now I have clients in the US, all over, and Canada. And yeah, I can't have dinner with them, at my favorite Italian restaurant, but I can build real relationships virtual. And I hope coaches are seeing this as really a boom for our business in a big way. And then we can also create things in our business to bring people live and in person. We do all of our retreats live and in person. We have a speaker retreat. We do a bliss retreat for women leaders on a mission, which is a bliss program for most of the year. And then we go on a cruise for a week. So you can still.
Where are you going?
Oh, we're going to Mexico. I live in San Francisco, so we do a 7-day round trip to Mexico. And I did a 10-day this last year. We did a 10-day, and let me tell you, the ladies loved the 10-day, and we may do that again.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah. Well, you're invited, Jill. I got 1 spot left. You're invited.
Okay. I will take you up on it. I was curious where you lived also, so you covered that for me. It is amazing that we can be international. A lot of my partners are actually on the other side of the world.
That's exciting.
And I think next year is going to be a really big year for collaboration. It just feels like that to me, where we're going to be joining hands with other people that are in complementary parts to what our gifts are. So we can just offer even more value in the marketplace than just one person individually.
Well, and that is the beauty of connecting too. Connecting leads to collaboration. And I think that's important for me to say too, because people talk a lot about, partner, but really it's about the relationship first. Find people that you vibe with, that you love what they do, that you feel they operate with integrity, and then get to know them. It's kind of like, let's have a coffee date before we go away for the weekend, before we go to the Bahamas, let's begin the relationship first. And one of my guiding principles, which I think is very important for coaches, is relationships first, revenue second. And that's important for collaborations. It's also important for our clients. Build the relationship first. And, what I teach women how to sell authentically. Now, we've all heard you got to know, like, and trust people before they buy from you. Yes, of course. But there's two other things that women require. First of all, they have to feel that rapport. We can communicate, we can vibe, we can connect. That's number one. Number two is women have to get that you genuinely care about helping them and making a difference. That plus influence will bring us clients. The thing is, though, a lot of people, and by the way, I will say, Jill, and I don't know what your take on this is, but I'm actually anti this idea of inviting people to a discovery call, because
I am too.
we're on the same page. And because here's the thing, I got to do those other three things before we get to the call, and that's why I'm such a big fan of the virtual workshop, where you get to be with 20, 30 people at once. And like you said earlier, you get to see who you vibe with, because you could tell even from Zoom if you vibe with them. And then you can invite them to have a conversation with you, but you've already built influence because they came to that event with you. And it's really important to recognize that there's two kinds of potential clients. There's the show me potential client, and there's the prove it to me potential client. And I don't want to get on a call with people that are prove it to me. That's no fun, right? And that's what happens when we are inviting people to talk to us that we haven't built any influence with. So no, I want to build influence first, and then we get on a call and we talk about, what do you want to create and how do you want to do it? And hey, do you want me to help you? And then that's a sales conversation.
And I think sales conversations have changed over the years. My background is in sales. I've sold
Really?
real estate and life insurance and
Wow.
liners for air cargo containers and copiers.
Wow.
So I really have a large background in sales. And I was selling coaching services for other coaches for a while.
Okay.
Also, so I was what they call a closer. But
how exciting. You were a closer. Wow. That's impressive, Jill.
And I was really good at it. But I've gotten to a point where when I get on calls with people, I'm not really interested in closing them into a sale.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in finding out, what do you want to do? And seeing it, if I can help you. And if I can genuinely help you, I'll let you know how that looks. But I'm not interested in begging people to work with me. It's just not like,
absolutely,
or pressuring them or manipulating them, because there are tactics to manipulate people to do things that I find kind of questionable ethically.
Well, none of that is bliss,
No, it's not bliss, it's stress.
When I talk to a gal and she's telling me, Caterina, I really want to work with you and I can't pay my rent, I don't want to put more stress on her. That's why I say, okay, here's some free resources. Come to my next free workshop. I'm happy to chat with you. But I don't want to be the source of financial distress in people's lives. Now, yes, can I help that gal improve her sales? Yes, but I don't want her to create so much stress to do it, because really, you can't sell when you're stressed anyway. Let's be very clear, And so and the other thing about sales is that, excuse me, it's not about learning stuff. It's about mastering it. And this is why this is the myth of the seminar. Oh, let me go to this sales seminar. Well, you're going to learn some stuff, but you're not going to master it. And really, what creates massive change is ongoing support, ongoing guidance, a structure that keeps you focused and builds momentum and keeps you in action. And then the other thing, and this is important that we don't talk about enough, ongoing encouragement is something that we can all use. Because you know what? We're not in grade school anymore, where hopefully we had a nice teacher who was very encouraging. Guess what? We're the coach. That's part of our job. And then the last thing that we don't talk about enough, maybe more now post-pandemic, is the power of community. That community is a source of uplift, like we talked about earlier, huge source of uplift, huge source of collaboration, huge source of friends, huge source of support and resources. If you don't have a community, you absolutely want to be a community of with like-minded, like-hearted people like you. And this is different than your family. I mean, if people think about, oh, well, I got a big, nice, beautiful family. Great. But do they understand about being an entrepreneur? Because entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, and usually they don't get it. And that's why we need I just did a podcast episode on this, Jill, about, we need business girlfriends too.
We do need business girlfriends, and you can build communities. I have a community on Facebook that I'm growing, and
Wonderful.
I love that community. I know most of the people in there because I interview everybody on my podcast. So it's a real connection that I feel like I'm making with people. And when I do the deep dive lives on Thursdays, it's like I'm talking to people that I know and I connect with. And yeah, some of them are my clients, but all of them are people that I feel connected to.
Beautiful.
And I can help in some way, some more than others.
Sure.
And then they also give back to me. It's amazing in a community like that. You learn things from other people that are in there and moving and shaking. And if you leave your community open and you don't try to control it so much, you get a lot of give and take among the people that are in the community, which I think is just like so fabulous. To me, watching somebody else like really break out of their shell and
Yeah.
burst on the scenes, that's just like, wow, honey, you go, girl.
Well, Jill, that's the beauty of coaching and consulting and mentoring, is we get to see the impact of what we're bringing. And that is definitely, for me, I'm sure for you, the biggest joy. The money's good. The biggest joy is being able to see the impact. And really, part of what I do is I teach women how to cultivate community. And when I see other women start their own communities and be flourishing with their own communities, and to see how their communities, they might have might take the guiding principles that I've shared with them, but their communities have a different flavor and a different culture and different smiles on the screen or derrieres in chairs. It's beautiful to see that impact. To say a little bit more about community, I want to encourage every coach to cultivate community through their clients, to have a client-based community. We have Thriving Women in Business. That's my client community. And we have monthly networking and quarterly planning, and we get together for sales blitzes, like all kinds of things that when somebody becomes a client, they don't just get me, they get all these other amazing gals to support them too. And that is not only what gives your clients way more value than just the coaching, but also it keeps them coming back and it keeps them engaged because they're getting so much value.
Yep. And it's really all about community. And that's how the world is changing. And that's how coaches are changing the world, in my opinion.
Yes. My friend CJ Hayden, she wrote a book, I'm 20 ways or 50 ways coaches are changing the world, something like that. CJ Hayden and she's the author of Get Clients Now. And we wrote a book together about how to start a giving circle for women, Women's Guide to Starting a Giving Circle, because we raised a lot of money together, and now she raises her money a little bit different, and I raised my money through my events, but we have used our businesses to raise a lot of money for women and girls entrepreneurship, and want to teach other women how to do the same too.
That's so magnificent. So how do people work with you, and why would they want to work with you?
Oh my gosh, how exciting, my friend, that you're asking. Well, I work with women that have a service business and consider their business their mission, that
Mhm.
their mission on the planet, they are using their business for that. And they could be anything from, I just talked to a client who's a caterer, and she mostly does vegan catering, and she's also a speaker, and she wants to go and share the benefits of veganism at companies, and really that's her mission, and she's doing that through her business. These are the types of people I want to work with. They're passionate about doing their thing every day, and her name's Margaret. And I have 3 areas I focus on: sales, because if you can't sell, you can't serve. And really, it's not just learning sales, it's mastering sales. And I'm anti-script, I'm anti-pain points. I'm all about what I said, Jill. Let's build a relationship. Let's see if we vibe. And if we do, and you think I can serve you, and I think if you think you can be served by me and I can serve you, let's do that. And then I teach women how to use speaking to grow their business. And we do speaker retreats, but we have a year-long program that goes with it, because there's the strategy part, and then there's the speech part, and then there's the mastering part. And then I have my Bliss program for women leaders, which is all about taking your established business and making sure it is making you happy. And part of that, Jill, is financial ease, and how to create financial ease and surplus. I call it always good to have a lot of surplus. And I mentor women for a year with what we call our Expand Your Fempire program. And I take those ladies on a cruise too. We go on a cruise at the beginning of the year to mastermind and kick off the year. So that's a little bit about how I work with my clients. And I'm privileged to have many that have been with me for a long time. And that's because of the community. And that's because as I continue to grow and learn, I bring new hot topics to share with them too.
Yeah, man, I love that. You have a podcast also. So you
Yeah.
want to talk about that a little bit? Because I
Yeah.
think that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I do. I want to say one thing. So the thing that I want to make sure all coaches are doing before we jump to podcast is this monthly virtual Zoom workshop. So you always have something to invite people to, and that you can continue to build influence. And if anybody who's listening is not doing that, that is a run, don't walk guiding principle to follow, because it will support you in having a plethora of prospects that you've built influence with. And as you know, Jill, to move on to podcasting, podcasting is also a way to provide more great content and more connection to people that we can serve. And my podcast is called Expand Your Fempire, with an F, Expand Your Fempire. We've done about 150 episodes now. It's all about, what do you need when you're a woman on a mission? You need the practical. I give a lot of super tips and massive value, and kind of like guidance on hot topics for women entrepreneurs. And then we interview other amazing women in business. And we also sometimes talk about things that are not so much business, but important as a woman to have attention on. And I invite everybody to listen on a regular basis and get massive value and uplift. That's the thing is, my intention, Jill, is every podcast episode that people leave more uplifted than when they showed up to start listening.
That is so important. It's the value that you bring to the listeners, and the inspiration that people get from listening to podcasts is it really is changing the world.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, you can touch so many lives. It's really wonderful. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And I think it's a great place for women with their voices too, because, I love the idea. And that's why I love the Zoom workshops. You don't got to wait for somebody else to pick you, to book you, to speak somewhere. You can book yourself and you can get your own voice out there. And it's the same with podcasting. You don't have to wait for some radio host to say, yes, you can be a guest. You get to have your own voice and put your own voice out there. And it's that autonomy of building our own platform that really has allowed so many women to elevate their businesses and get their message out there. And that's really good because we want variety. You know, we don't just want who the network execs say, oh, okay, this is what talent looks like. Talent looks 1,000 different ways.
Millions, maybe even billions.
Maybe Jill. Yes.
They're just, everybody has something unique to bring to the pot. The more coaches I've interviewed, and I've interviewed over 250 of them so far.
Wow, my friend.
It's just everybody, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You bring something different to the pot. Right. It's like you and I do pretty much the same thing, honestly, but we do it in different ways.
Different flavor. It's a different flavor.
It's a different flavor. We're both ice cream, but we just have different flavors.
Well, and that's the thing. We're not everybody's flavor. We're not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah. And that's okay. And it's okay for us to have conversations together and to share. You know, yes. Like a Sunday, you get a little taste of it.
Absolutely. You know, I want to share that I love what you said earlier, that, you know, everyone has value. My mission of my life is to make sure that every woman knows that she matters and she has massive value to bring. And having the opportunity to connect and use our business for good is so personally fulfilling. I want, you know, the other thing, Jill, about me is I tell women not to wear their heart on their sleeve, to wear their heart all over their business. It's important to bring our natural, kind, loving self to work, and that we can bring it to work, and we can get personal with our clients. We can genuinely care for our clients. We can become their friends and have them enhance our life, and we enhance their life in many, many ways. That there doesn't have to be, I'm this way at home and I'm this way in my coaching business, or I have these values over there and I have these values, different values over there. No, you can make them all the same, because the beauty of entrepreneurship is we get to live an authentic life.
Yes, we do. And our lives involve other things, not just like trying to convince people to do things so we benefit.
Well, I don't want to convince I tell my gals, you don't got to convince anybody. You're not going to persuade anybody. Simply keep being your amazing self, and your people will show up. I will say that you do have to invite people to talk to you. You know, I mean,
you do. Yes. You have to make offers. You are never going to get any money. Right. And that's really what it is. If you don't make an offer to somebody. Yes. And there's ways to do it. You can do it. And you have to be comfortable with people saying no.
Right.
No, this isn't right for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. You know, when the waitress comes around and offers you coffee and you're not in the mood for coffee and you say no, she does not have a come apart.
Right.
You know, she's just like,
she keeps her party moving. Right. She keeps going. Right.
She keeps going, and she may offer you something else.
Right.
You don't want coffee? Well, maybe you want water or
pie. I want some pie, Jill.
Or pie. Yeah. Or maybe you really wanted a steak dinner and a glass of wine.
Hopefully she's got that too, if that's what you want.
Yeah. And if not, maybe she knows where you can go to find it.
Absolutely.
And
I'm sure she does.
Kind of goes into the, you know, the whole coaching sphere. You know, you have so many things to offer, and sometimes what you have to offer isn't what that person is needing at this moment. Right. But if you have the connections, you can refer them.
Right. And that builds influence too. You know, when we help other people be successful, that definitely comes back to us, and they definitely remember that, because it's a kind and generous thing to do. And that's another thing, kindness, generosity. Let's infuse that throughout our business. That's way more fun way to live.
It is. And there's so much abundance in this universe. Everything we could ever want already exists. It may not have materialized just yet, but it does exist just by the virtue of the fact that we've thought about it. Because everything starts with thought.
Yes.
It is the magic that is the universe.
Well, I mean, all of this is all a brilliant idea that somebody had at some point, And one of the things I say to my entrepreneurs, Jill, is most of us have what I call brilliant idea syndrome. Now, that's different than bright, shiny object syndrome. That's where ideas outside yourself are extra appealing. Brilliant idea syndrome is when we have so many ideas. The thing is, though, that yes, they might all exist, but we can't put our attention on all of them at the same time. And it's very important as creative entrepreneurs to put some ideas aside for now, because the guiding principle is we want to be massively monetizing what we've already got before we start something new. Because that next thing is way more exciting than that thing we've been doing for years. But that thing we've been doing for years might be really working for us. I've got this idea, Jill, for a new cruise mastermind retreat for women. And last night I'm looking at cruises for 2025, because I was like, oh yeah, when might we be able to do that? Well, yeah, in the meantime, I still haven't done my stuff for my class that starts in January. And, I have to catch myself, because sometimes, especially now with AI, some of my coach friends, they're like spending so much time on AI, they're not spending any time on sales. So it's very important that we manage our brilliant ideas as well.
Yeah, and have some sort of a system for doing the tasks. And there are tasks that need to be done every day, and staying on top of those as well. So how do people get in touch with you, Caterina?
Well, first of all, I love Facebook. Send me a Facebook message anytime. I am on Instagram. Best place to find me and what I'm up to is CaterinaRando.com, CaterinaRando.com. When you go to CaterinaRando.com, you can also click on my links page, and that's where you're going to find many free resources on business, on speaking, all kinds of hot topics. And it's definitely worth taking a look at. And then you can also connect and come to any of my upcoming free workshops there. They're always info packed, and we do them every month.
That's awesome. I'm going to sign up for those.
Yeah. Love to have you, Jill.
So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with today? What do you hope they take away from this conversation?
We have been all over, and we've touched on a lot of hot topics, and we've discussed a lot of important principles to support coaches and other entrepreneurs to thrive in their business. If you're listening to this right now, don't just say, okay, that was fun and interesting, because I was fun and interesting to me, but say, hey, pick one thing that you're going to take action on. My favorite quote of all time, Jill, is from American folk singer Joan Baez. Action is the antidote to despair.
I love that. I don't know how I've lived this long and not heard that. It is so true. When you're feeling down, just get in action.
And she's 82, and she just released a new album.
No way.
Isn't that exciting?
It's really exciting. I love seeing women in their crone years.
Yeah.
I'm there too.
my client, I told you about Margaret, who's the caterer, the vegan caterer. She's 78. I got another client who's mayor of her city. She's 78. And I got another client who's 81, I believe now. And she's just launched a training company and she's super thriving.
Yeah. It's like life after 50 can be so exciting.
It's
Who
way
knew?
better after 50. Let's just tell the truth, my friend. It's
Yeah.
way better after 50.
It is way better after 50. I'm turning 64 next year.
Congratulations.
And this is the best time of my life. I just like, it could not be any better.
You make me so happy. Thank you for saying that. I'm a few years behind you, so thank you for letting me know that the future is bright.
The future is really bright. I'd add an expletive in there, but
okay.
Trying to keep this.
I'm going to tell you what I'm doing next year. As you know, I'm doing 2 cruises with my clients next year. I'm going on 3 or 4 other cruises that other people are hosting, and I'm going to speak on their cruises. And the reason I'm telling you that is because that's like business. My business is paying for it. I'm going to be networking. Hopefully I'll be getting some clients, and I'm going to be blissing the whole time. Business does not have to be hard. And we can say, how can I have more fun in our business? And then we can go do that. And that's what I said to myself. How can I have more fun? Somebody invites me to speak at their conference on a cruise ship. I'm an insta yes. Somebody invites me to go on their retreat, business retreat on a cruise ship. I'm an insta yes. And so I always have fun things to look forward to. It's very important in business and life for that. And to really amplify our fun. And the more attention we put on it, the more we're going to have that fun. And like, I like to talk about, put attention on how to bliss more in your business.
Yes. Play. We weren't put here to just like grind it out.
Oh, my friend.
Thanks so much for joining me, Caterina. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Jill. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.